In any art form, creating an overpowered character is a very risky thing to do. Whether this overpowered character be the main character, villain, or other side character, there's always the risk of them being too powerful, which becomes a problem when pairing up fights. There are many writers who have to specifically craft their characters, making sure they are very careful when power scaling, and making everything interesting with training and fighting. Though in One Punch Man, they throw this entire idea out the window right off the bat. One Punch Man was created by One, who after One Punch Man would go on to create another extremely overpowered character right off the bat, Mob. He never cared about the whole training and power scaling trope and decided to just gift his characters with overwhelming strength from the very beginning, doing so despite the risks of finding challenges as enemies and creating another boring story for readers. Instead of throwing even stronger people in their way and having them overcome it in that sense, he just has Saitama and Mob beat everybody with little to no effort at all, taking an even bigger risk for maintaining readers' interests. If One has his characters do this, then his stories should be very boring and unpopular. But they aren't. One Punch Man has sold over 30 million copies, Mob Psycho's selling over 1 million copies. If the characters are so overpowered that they beat their enemies with ease, then why are they so popular? That's due to just simply amazing character writing. In One Punch Man, Saitama is a bald, super plain looking character, sporting a yellow onesie with red gloves, red boots, and a cape. A very simple and bland costume, which matches him perfectly. Though even with this super plain and boring character design, he has godlike strength that isn't rivaled in any way. There's a huge contrast with appearances to his power, just to go to show that you shouldn't judge appearances alone. This is shown in the anime a few times. Nobody bats an eye to Saitama. He's just a Class C hero that nobody knows the name of or even recognizes. Even though he has single-handedly saved the city multiple times, from city leveling up to humanity-ending threats, he's cast aside, and all the credit's given to Class S heroes. He gets labeled as a cheat and a cop-out to the general public. In the case where Saitama destroys a meteor that was heading to wipe out his city, the meteor fragments still mess the city up, but regardless, the damage is minimized. In response, the town yells at him and complains. Even after having their lives saved by him, Saitama yells back at them, saying he doesn't do it for appreciation, but he does it because he wants to. But deep down, we can see that isn't completely the case. He wants to be recognized and thanked for what he's done for the city, but doesn't want to show it. Until he sees another hero in action, giving it his all for the sake of saving people, despite being in a most definite losing situation. Mumen Rider. Mumen Rider is a very important character to the growth of Saitama, so we will get back to him in a moment, as I want to tie in another part of Saitama's character all at once. Another part of Saitama's character is related to his immense power. Saitama is by far the strongest person in the world, and even the known universes. His power is unrivaled and washes any opponent that he even has the chance to come up against. This very quickly, for Saitama, becomes a curse. When Saitama was little, he always wanted to become a hero, to protect people and destroy any enemy with one punch, blasting them away. Saitama trained and became what he aspired to be as a child, but now that he's reached where he's wanted to become, he feels empty. He has this void feeling in his heart that he isn't sure what is. He's become so powerful that there's no real challenge for him anymore. You can see this in this character design. When the show begins, his eyes are just little black dots with no definition, and he has a bland, unshadowed face. This doesn't change when he's fighting against anybody in real life. But he then has a dream. He dreams about these subterranean people coming to the crust of the earth, trying to take over. And here is where he has a real challenge. Once this becomes apparent to him, you can see his eyes become defined with a brown color. His face becomes more defined. He's serious now, and he's finally feeling this exhilaration that he hasn't been able to feel before, until he wakes up, back to his old black bead eyes and an unshadowed, non-defined face. This void is not filled throughout the show's challenges. He's never challenged enough to even bother or put too much seriousness in the fight. He's left to his blandness and voided heart. I like to think this void that's in his heart is a combination of not only a lack of real challenge, but as well as a lack of real purpose. He's gotten so powerful that he can take down any enemy, but as he does now, he gets backlash from the people of his own city. He gets a student, as well as the friends in the Hero Association, but still this lingering void hangs over his head, until Moomin Rider shows up. Moomin Rider is a Class C hero, ranked number 1 in the class. He has absolutely no powers or real strength, and is just sort of a regular guy who rides around on a bicycle. He knows his own lack of strength, as well as knows he can't do much in the face of real danger. Despite knowing this, he faces the problem head on. When facing the Sea King in Episode 9, this goes on full display. He faces impossible challenges for the sake of others, saying it's not about winning or losing, it's about facing him right here, right now. Saitama sees this interaction happen, and even after Moomin's ultimate speech is very quickly beaten down, but that doesn't matter to Saitama at all. Moomin's message has reached Saitama's heart. None of what he originally became a hero was to get popular or to become the number 1 hero of the association. He became a hero to embody what Moomin Rider himself embodies, to protect others with no other motivation. Moomin Rider doesn't care about his ranking or popularity. He solely wanted to protect others in the face of danger. He sacrificed himself in a way to help motivate and empower citizens. Saitama takes this to heart, feeling a part of that void that's been lingering over his head the entire show. He's regained a sense of purpose. Saitama proves this to us after beating the Sea King in one punch. The crowd that was there watching the fights happen, seeing all of the very high-rating heroes being knocked down one by one, praising him, until one person comes through the crowd. One person starts doubting Saitama, saying that if all it took was one punch, then was the monster all that strong in the first place? It seeded doubts into the crowd's mind about all of the heroes, how if the monster was so weak, then why did all of the heroes lose to him? Then, Saitama speaks up. Saitama starts up an act, yelling about how lucky he was to stumble by this monster that was already really weakened by the previous heroes that were fighting him, yelling at the crowd to give him all the credit involved. This makes the crowd start to hate on Saitama again, saying how could he do such a thing to want to take all the credit? But Saitama's plan wasn't to do that. He wanted to erase the doubts in the crowd's eyes about the other heroes that fought the monster. He wanted to wash away their ideas that the heroes were really weak. He sacrificed his public view, so the other heroes would be seen as the heroes they were. This immediately shows the audience about his growth as a character. He's no longer this sort of self-centered character wanting to find a challenge, but now someone who wants to look out for others and protect people, without any care about how the people he's protecting views him. He's no longer just the hero for fun he once was, but now a hero with a purpose. The way one writes his stories and characters will always be one of my favorites. The way he progresses their stories and character developments is always nearly perfect. The characters he writes reflect uses of real-world matters that people can imagine themselves on. Saitama as a character represents that even with outstanding power or ability, you can still have problems. Nobody is perfect, even with the power to destroy mountains with the air that pushes from one punch you do. You have to be able to look deep into yourself and find that purpose, otherwise those abilities become pointless. In reality, what's the point of being the strongest person in the world if you yourself aren't happy? Thank you for watching my video, I really appreciate it. These videos let me have an outlet to be able to speak what I'm thinking while I watch these anime, which is really nice to have. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting like and subscribe, and please comment on what I can improve on with editing, voiceover, anything at all, because I'm still new and I'm still trying to work on things. I should have more videos coming out soonish, but it does take time, to script, edit, make videos, but all the while I really am having a good time still doing it though. So thank you again, and I'll see you next video.